Detroit Lions fans, what's up? It's your boy Will, and this is Detroit Den 313. We're ready to talk some Detroit Lions football. Flying solo dolo, man. I regret to inform you that Steve has somehow gotten more vacation time. Not sure who approved it. I try to deny it every time it crosses our desk, but somehow slid through the cracks here. I don't know if Sarah Perkins pushed it through or what's going on, but we got to talk to these interns. But I did sneak another photograph. For those you don't know, Steve recently just picked up a new hobby: skiing, hitting the slopes. Got a little taste out there shredding on the snow. And he's also got a new pet, the goldfish. So the goldfish and Steve decided go hit the slopes, man. They're out there on the slopes. He got the goldfish out there. Hopefully he's being careful. It looks like the goldfish is just good, just having the time of his life. So Steve, enjoy yourself. But let's get back here tomorrow and do what we do best, talk Detroit Lions football. But I got a good one today. Our last episode, I made a promise. I said we were gonna do a show talking about how we could creep in Ben Johnson's back door and take the milk and cookies. And that's what today is about. Absolutely fleecing Ben Johnson. And anytime you can stick it to Ben Johnson, it's just a good day and a good time. So uh F the Bears. And let's get down to business. Before I get into that, though, I'm going to talk about a big time issue that the Detroit Lions have going into next season. And that is this linebacker room. Looking at this linebacker room here, we got some free agents: Alexander Saloni, Grant Stewart, Ezekiel Turner, Zach Cunningham, Trevor Nowatzki, and Malcolm Rodriguez. For the most part, I'm not a big fan of Ezekiel Turner. I'm not here to throw shade. He's just not my favorite. But everybody else in this list is a contributor to me. Alex Anzalone, obviously. Grant Stewart is an absolute special teams ace. Zach Cunningham was a depth piece that I thought was playing really well before he got injured. Trevor Nowatzki has played all over that linebacker room, but I really like him as a depth piece of Sam linebacker. And Alex Anzalone is a special teams dog who can also freaking go to H-back, fullback, and even catch passes. So those guys are all contributors, and they're all free agents. To me, pretty much the only linebackers worth speaking about that we have signed right now is Jack Campbell and Derek Barnes. Right? We got an issue. The good thing about that issue is this: there's some holes in this Detroit Lions roster because of free agency and because we just weren't good enough this season. I think that most of these things we can fix in free agency, and it can be fairly affordable. So for those of you who already are ready to comment dollar bin Brad, there's some dollar bin players out there that I think can be contributors to the Detroit Lions. I'm going to talk about a couple of them today. First one, I'm saving the best for last. We're going to fleece Ben Johnson to bring this thing home. But the first one I want to talk about is a guy that I really think would fit the culture of the Detroit Lions. And that's this guy right here, EJ Speed. EJ Speed, you see the jersey. He's got that Houston Texans jersey on, and that was a pretty damn good defense this year. And by pretty damn good, I mean one of the best in the league. They flew around, they were violent. They pretty much carried the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud did not have a good season this year. And through the will of that defense, they had a lot of success and went into the playoffs. So hats off to that defense. Honestly, I'm jealous of it. I think they got everything you need. They got pass rushers. They got guys who can cover. They got guys who can thump. They got instinctual guys. They got everything you need on a defense. And I would love to have a defense like theirs. And how do you start that? You start that by getting players of their caliber and players who know what it's like to play that style of defense. I think that EJ Speed could be that type of guy for the Detroit Lions. He's got a brother, ex-teammate that could be coming back to the Detroit Lions, and Grant Stewart. Funny story. If you know anything about Grant Stewart, when he was with the Colts, he had a 19 tackle football game, just flying all over the field. Well, he had that game standing in for EJ Speed because EJ Speed got banged up. So these are guys who know each other well. I think that Grant Stewart could get on the phone and say, hey, listen, man, I think you could come to Detroit. There's a potential that you could be a starter. Either way, you're going to be a guy who is impactful and you're going to have some meaningful reps here in Detroit. And I think that the culture just fits. EJ Speed, 6'4", 230 plus pounds. This is a guy who goes about 4.6 in the 40, and he looks like he runs 4.4 when you see him on the football field. He is an absolute thumper. This dude comes downhill. He fills gaps violently with bad intentions. I love his style of football, and I think he would fit amazing next to Jack Campbell. Only one problem. I think he fits amazing on first and second down. First and second down. EJ Speed's only weak point to me as I watch him on film is coverage. He's not the best coverage linebacker. So if you ask him to bust a running back in the mouth, to hit a tight end coming over the middle, he's not going to have any issue. You ask him to blitz, he's got the speed and he's got the ability to come off blocks. But if you ask him to cover, there's a drop off there, a drop off that I can live with. This is a guy who's shown that he can start in this NFL. I think really you're splitting hairs there. For the most part, you're not going to get a guy in free agency that has everything that you want him to have, because if he did, most of the time they don't let those type of guys get to free agency. All of these guys in free agency, for the most part, are going to cost $1 trillion, or they're going to have a weakness or two. I'm okay living with EJ Speed struggling a little bit in coverage, because I think everything else you get out of him is huge. Veteran leader, a guy who plays with the right intensity, a guy who fits our culture. I think that EJ Speed would be an absolute perfect fit. As Brad Holmes says, he would fit the Detroit Lions like a glove, and he's affordable. We're looking at a market value at about $4.8 million. You're looking at a 1 to 2 year deal because he's 30 years old. So if you're telling me I could get EJ Speed on a 1 year deal for 4.8 mil, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would do it in a heartbeat, because with our linebacker situation right now, we need real studs, right? We need real dogs, and we need them in a hurry. And if you're looking at going a different route, I think there's a drop off from most of those guys on our in-house free agent list. And it's looking like, let's be honest, Alex Anzalone is probably gone. So if I can't have Alex Anzalone, I need to get guys like this into the room to keep that linebacker room as a strength, right? Let's be honest, as a strength and not a liability. So EJ Speed, let me know how you're feeling about him, but let me give you what you're really waiting for. Let me give you what you're really waiting for. Now, I got a sneaky suspicion that nobody knows who I'm talking about. So I'm going to take a beat. I'm going to take 5. And if you think that you know who I want to creep in the back door and steal from Ben Johnson, please just type away in those comments. Type away in those comments, because I'm curious if anybody is on the same page as me. Type it in there right now as I'm pulling up the picture, because even when I pull up the picture, you're liable to not know who he is. But we have none other than Demarco Jackson out of the Appalachian State. Appalachian State. This is a guy who's sneaky good. Sneaky good. I talked about Alex Anzalone in this linebacker room. I talked about what we need. I talked about what EJ Speed is and what he isn't. Listen, Demarco Jackson is a guy who can cover tight ends and running backs man to man. Man to man. We're talking about a 4.5 40 that looks even faster on a football field. We're talking about a guy who can run sideline to sideline. We're talking about a guy who is very instinctual, very twitchy, very sticky in pass coverage. This is the number 3 ranked coverage linebacker in the NFL this season. This dude's sneaky good. Sneaky good and affordable. Sneaky good, affordable, and young, 28 years old. I think that this could be an absolute steal. This could be an absolute steal, and it could be a fit for what the Detroit Lions need. If we're going to lose Alex Anzalone, we need to replace him with a coverage linebacker who's got some experience, who's seen pretty much everything that the offenses have to throw at you. This is a dude who has experience, played in 2 playoff games this season and played well, had 12 sacks, or not 12 sacks, I apologize. I wish he had 12 sacks. 12 tackles against the Rams this season, I believe. This is a dude who's playing some sneaky good football, man. I think he had a 7 tackle game during the playoff run, came in and stepped in for TJ Edwards. The Bears got linebackers. The Bears got linebackers. They don't need a guy like Demarco Jackson. He's just a luxury for those guys. They got to figure out who they're paying and who they're not paying while they're figuring all of that stuff out, and the dust is settling over there. Brad needs to creep in the back door. Say, DeMarco, come on over. Come on over. Come on home. We got a spot for you here in Detroit where you won't have to split reps. You can be a guy who's out there for a lion's share of some snaps if you're not starting. I think this is a dude that's that good, man. This is a guy who can play all 3 downs. He is not a liability in a run game. He came downhill. He thumps. He weaves through traffic. He's not a guy like Jack Campbell who's just going to be a stacked linebacker who's running through guards, fullbacks, and H-backs. That's not his game. But he is a guy who can get skinny, weave through traffic, and make tackles. He is a guy who can run through backside A-gap and run a play down from the backside. He's got speed. He's got a very, very sticky ability to stay with guys man to man. I just think he could be a tremendous pickup for the Detroit Lions. Sneaky good. So if you get an opportunity, if you got all 22, pull up all 22 and watch some film on Demarco Jackson. If you don't have all 22, there's a couple people who did some cut-ups on him on YouTube. Check him out because I know most people haven't heard of him, but this is a sneaky pick that could be all of the difference next season going against these teams who have tight ends and running backs who are pass catchers out of the backfield. So leave it in the comments, man. Let me know how you're feeling about these 2 linebackers. Do you think it is realistic that the Detroit Lions could pick up one of these 2 guys or both of them? And if there's somebody out there in that linebacker free agency that you think the Detroit Lions should take a look at, go ahead and drop them in the comments too. Steve and I will be back with another one. Peace.